Greek?
Yeah. All right. Here we go. I think I've started.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Super. So, hello everyone, and welcome to Skills for Exams community. And this is the promised webinar with two exam candidates, my beautiful ladies who have recently passed their CE tests, Liza and Tatiana, and Miss Susan. Obviously, you know who I am. So we've decided to record this webinar to share our experiences, to talk a little bit about the preparation process and what could have been done differently, and probably leave some tips for future exam takers. First things first, obviously, we'll have to introduce ourselves. So, ladies, would you like to say a couple of words about yourselves? Maybe. You know, to me, it sounds like speaking part one. Like, are you working or studying?
Working and studying both, kind of. Well, everything simultaneously. So, well, just jokes aside. Well, my major is related to science. So, well, I'm not a linguist, to be honest, but I also work as an English teacher as a side hustle. So it's my passion.
Right. And as far as I know, there are a lot of side hustles.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably
baking
too
as
many of
well.
them.
I'm a friend of eating, so we should mention that as well.
You may know them, too many.
Yeah. All right. Liz, and you?
Well, so I'm Elizabeth Marshova. I'm from Cherpovets. I've been an English private tutor for about 10 years, so kind of also my passion, but the major one.
Right. Okay, super. Thanks. And I'm Susan, still the author of the community, and was very lucky to be the teacher, but I must say just more of kind of helping hand because ladies did a lot on their own side while helping them preparing for the CE exam. So for the webinar today, we've decided to collect a range of questions from you, the beautiful followers, and we've sort of arranged them again in a, well, more or less structured manner. So that will be the following. First, we'll be talking about the motivation and the reasons behind taking the CE exam. Then we'll be talking about the actual seating. What's important is that the ladies took their CE in different countries and they did choose different formats. I think that will be useful. And then this sort of with a hindsight note when we'll reflect on how it was and what could have been done differently, as I mentioned previously. So talking about preparation and goal setting, what was the main motivation for you to take CE and how long did you prepare? This is one of the questions the followers left in our community.
Right. So if I may start, well, for me, the kind of main reason was to like gain my credentials. So because I'm not a professional teacher, so for me it was very important to gain some certificate over the international exam for working the in the online school. And yeah, that was like the main idea. Also, it kind of affects the salary, so money
Mm.
also important.
So yeah, that's a good point I wanted to raise. So once you present your certificate somewhere, you're bound to ask for a higher paycheck, right?
Yeah, at least some. No, but like it's also personal, quite personal because it gives you a lot of I don't know, confidence in your skills if you got through this process. So yeah, you are becoming much more confident in that.
Right, I would agree. And Liz, what about you? Is it the same? Professional development?
Yeah, exactly. So it's been long-term ambition for me, actually, I guess, since I started working in this sphere. And probably it may be really crucial for a modern English teacher to have such kind of document, yeah, which represents your level of language.
Mm.
And I guess I spent about a year for the exam preparation, so doing Susan's course, which had a lot of useful tips, so strategies for the exam. So I guess it helped a lot.
Right. But obviously you were, I mean, thank you so much for advertising my course, but you had been preparing before as well, like as we say, right? Especially with linguists, it's kind of all of your life, but it may not be that intentional, not that focused. And as for you, Tatiana, how long overall, especially that you mentioned that you were not initially, you didn't initially get any linguistic education. How long do you think it took overall to grasp the level?
Um, Probably 2 or 3 years, but it's important to notice that probably first 6 months I was like at least if we just come back to the very beginning of my journey, it was like 6 months when I started doing that really intentionally. I already had some level, but I just made some improvements within a year, I think. But I started working as well. Simultaneously, I was learning and teaching. So it was just day-to-day practice, a lot of exercises, a lot of different information. So since then, I think I have been listening for just an hour or two, like authentic interviews and different recaps of movies or anything, just mostly in English. So for me, it was just huge immersion into this sphere and the languages as well. So
Right.
it's kind of hard to understand like the impact of all of these things. I suppose that everything was just important, equally important. But the courses, I would agree with that point that they are really focused. So they are giving you a really huge understanding of what is going on through the exam and what you are tested for. Like what are the things that you should present. Because if you don't prepare for that, of course, obviously you might gain some points, but you will not be like you'll not be able to show off everything that you know and demonstrate your level.
Right. Yeah, because I mean that actually begs the question and brings us to another question that we have had in the community. Some people say that taking course is not essential for as long as you have the level, and I would agree to some extent. You're bound to pass the exam if your level is there. So what's your take on that? Liz, maybe you would like to start here. Do you agree? Like, could you have done it without a course, for instance, or?
Well, so for me, the main idea of taking the course was to get to know with the format, exactly the exam format, the structure of speaking tasks, writing tasks, like really to get some useful tips for doing this. So yeah, I guess this is what was of the highest importance to me, and I got everything I needed.
So like, well, we can't say magic pills, but what is it like? Different hacks? What tips? Because I mean, you really crack them all, right? And at some point you still have to learn the language.
Well, yeah, obviously, of course, learning as much. So, probably also the structure of the course helped a lot, like different topics, vocabulary for the specific topic was really fully packed lists of vocabulary. So just it was up to you, like to practice all this stuff because everything was prepared for you. Just should follow the plan. Being not really self-organized person, for me taking a course was also of the high importance. Like I couldn't organize it myself. Like after work, just sit and find materials, like make a plan. So I had a plan on the course, I followed it, and I guess that's was I don't know. Okay, so that was just amazing. What I really needed, even a magic pill to me.
Yeah, I see now. Well, no, again, that I would relate to me as well, related to my studies, right? So once you've kind of invested financially, first of all, and then you have this path and you can see where you're going, of course, it makes it easy because otherwise you may get overwhelmed with the amount of work and where to.
Maybe it's about time management. Yeah, also helped to
Right.
organize the time of preparation.
Right. Yeah, Tatiana.
Yeah, if I may jump in. So I would also actually mention that the importance of feedback. So if you're taking probably some sort of self-preparation or any kind of courses where you don't have a teacher who would probably correct your mistakes or at least just point out that you have some struggles with this thing and you probably needs to pay more attention to that thing, right? So without that, so your preparation will be kind of half-hearted, let's say, because you might learn the vocabulary, but you'll never be able to understand whether you use it correctly or not. So in writing, in speaking, it's essential. So I just have no clue how you would be able to do that otherwise, really.
Right. Well, we might talk about alternatives of preparation a bit later because there was another question related to that. But I see. So you would advocate for course taking, anyway, judging by your experience, right? Speaking of writing and speaking that you mentioned, what another question we have is, what do you think is the best way to prepare? Gosh, that's a difficult one. Well, as far as I know, you were study buddies in speaking, even though you studied in different groups. So, and I know that that is a popular strategy for many test takers. So would you suggest that at least for speaking?
For sure, I would agree that it's like really, really important if you go through this like let's say vigorous preparation when you have timer and you speak for 2 minutes no more, and if you have a study buddy who is willing to participate in that, so that's really just amazing. I would say that that was immensely helpful, and at least according to my score, I had been practicing for, I think, like 2 months. That was mostly use of English and speaking. And for that, I actually got the highest scores. So that's obvious that it is working.
Proves, yeah, like where we put more effort, we're bound to get higher results. That's true. And
Yes.
that is probably where we have the issues with writing, right? I mean, we all know it's so painful, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's really difficult to arrange your routine around daily writing, for instance, with the same intensity as speaking. But some people do, and then the results are obviously, yeah, outstanding. What would you say? What worked for you? If you talk about speaking, writing.
Yeah, as for speaking, really practicing with study buddies helped a lot because you really get more familiar with the topics that are asked, with the timing, because you kind of help each other, yeah, to set the time to control. Yeah, and maybe the main benefit was really sharing ideas. Sometimes I didn't know what to say about some topics, and Tanya, for example, shared some cool ideas which I wrote down immediately. Like, oh gosh, really, we could say this and that was amazing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this is cool. True, I would agree. Like, you know, you've got this pool of resources, right? You can use pick one's brains and yeah, make
Right.
it. Okay. So what about the painful writing then?
Well, so that's for me is still is one of the most complicated stuff, to be honest, because you really need to combine everything that you have actually, because you need to follow the proper structure, the format, knowing the like the criteria for the writing that you are trying to focus on. So like not to use the certain vocabulary because it will be off the topic or of the format or anything like that. So just you combine everything in one, and because of that, it might be really overwhelming. So for me, it's like it would be, at least for me, it would work like just drilling and practicing all of that stuff. So you could kind of handle like um, the stress during the exam, because 1.5 hours, it's not really that much. So
Hmm.
yeah, just practicing the only thing. The most boring stuff, but there's no other answers, I think.
Right.
There
Well, yeah, I mean, we talk about productive skills. Obviously, to demonstrate them, you have to produce. It's just that with writing, it's time consuming. And what I would normally suggest is at least one paragraph per day rather than the whole essay, because again, whole essay seems a daunting task, but a paragraph is more or less manageable. And yet it takes a lot of effort, yeah, conscious effort to find time for that. Yeah, Liz, what would you say? Same?
Um, well, yeah, Tanya mentioned all the main points about writing, really. You get to know with the structure as well. So, what helped me, I explored different models of texts, for example, tasks, like to know how they begin, end, and what are the main parts. I think that. I really even memorized before exam how to do this, but other part is just your vocabulary using different grammar structures, yeah, like inversions and so on. So to make your text more complex, I guess.
Right.
So just to know these key things also I learned on the course. So I wouldn't think about this without all these tips. Like you need to follow the structure, to know the structure for different writing.
You mean like genres?
Yeah, genres like emails, reviews, and so on. I even chose on the exam the task. Okay, I forgot.
It's hard to say. Which one?
Probably report, which I haven't practiced. Okay, feeling really ashamed now on the course, but I did this on the exam just because I know the topic. Like it was sport, so I could say something, being a sports person myself. So yeah, of course, it helps a lot when you choose the task where you're more aware of the vocabulary.
True. That's a good point you've raised, actually, and that's what I would normally advise me that to choose not the format, but the language, right? So the topic that you know better, and the format a successful candidate has to know all the genres that are required in the exam, and then that would be useful. But you're also right that we hardly have this communicative purpose in real life, right? I mean, rarely do you. Well, I mean, you might write emails, but rarely do you write reports, and that, of course, is what you will probably train only for the exam purposes, and it will be then forgotten. Fortunately or
Not sure,
unfortunately. Not
really.
sure?
I would disagree with this point because sometimes if you have a little bit Okay, so if you have a little bit higher position in the structure of the organization, so you will need to make some sort of suggestions, proposals, and you really need sometimes to communicate with people in foreign language. So in that case, you probably need to be at least respectful to the rules like it is normally done in this country or in European countries. So I would say that probably once in a lifetime you will be needing this thing and you will probably not ruin the moment. So
Yeah, that's
it is
true.
essential
Good point.
sometimes.
Yeah, and I can see, for example, my experience, like quite a lot of students who are not language teachers, but who happen to write a lot of emails at work, they are bound to show very good results with that particular form of writing. And I mean, again, now that you mentioned that both of you are teachers, you're about, I mean, to teach it now anyway. The format at
Yes,
lower
yes.
levels report we still have what B2 and lower. Yeah, so that would work. Super. Now that brings us. Oh yeah, another question we had regarding receptive skills, reading and listening, a tricky one, which is, do you think it's possible to get a higher score just by doing a lot of tests in listening and reading? For those who struggle with this.
All right. So, well, if we think just about like using the tests by itself, so yeah, I would say that for many reasons it would work. At least you will gain some experience with that and will understand the format, especially if you are doing this like with a timer, let's say.
Mm.
So you understand how it will work for yourself, so it will reduce your anxiety during the exam. But if the overall problem is not really about not knowing the format, but more about the comprehension skills, so in that case, it's probably essential to increase this part, like improve this part, like increase your vocabulary, improve your reading skills in general, just reading the text, trying to understand like the topic and all of that stuff. So for that issue, you actually need to have a lot of time. So probably 1 year will be essential for that. But for tests, it will take just a couple months. So it's to my mind. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I would agree. Reading and listening, you can't really grasp them just by doing tests. You first have to have the skill, and I think that is again the responsibility of the teacher, some sort, to dissect and really analyze what kind of problem there is, which exactly skills are missing. Yeah, but and then sub skills of reading or listening, and then yeah, address that issue first before doing the test, because tests might be exasperating, especially if you get like more or less the same low results, or like the one that doesn't satisfy you. What difference will it make? It will only get you frustrated.
Yeah, it's really disheartening when you're listening and don't understand even the 50% of it. So it's really, really hard. I remember myself like in this state in the beginning of the course. So I just kind of, well, I was blown away by the pace, by the vocabulary. I was listening. Okay, how am I supposed to learn it? So it's just so difficult to understand even now. But after a year, I managed, I think, to get, I think like 80%, sometimes 100%, but it's like I was a lucky one in that case. So it really depends on the topic sometimes that you face with during the exam. So it's not necessary that you will be able to understand everything if even if you practiced a lot and all of that stuff. Sometimes you're just weaker in some things, and that's it.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I think that's fair then that we have all the skills taken into account for the exam and yeah, where you lack in other parts you can compensate for. Liz, what about you? What did you find more difficult, reading or listening, both and either?
On the real exam, actually, that was reading. I faced with such complex ideas, vocabulary, so I really struggled with understanding and reading. Or I remember that I spent a huge amount of time on getting that, and sometimes I just picked the options that looked
More
like
or less.
close to the right. Yeah.
Right.
So. Yeah, I think that we are on the same page here with time because really the lack of vocabulary stopped me, I guess, from getting the higher point. Um, yeah, but not the lack of practice, I guess, because I did a lot of tests before the exam, so I knew the format, and yeah, just the vocabulary. I think
Right.
that what you really should work on
Right.
to prove.
Yeah, well, I would say that strategies in that case were immensely helpful because well, as far as I'm a pretty anxious person usually, so for me it was essential to understand how I should act during the exam. For example, like for reading, it was like firstly focus on the question, what was like, what was the idea behind the question, then just dive deeper into the text, understanding like where I have it, or at least close enough thing that I have there. So, and only there I will check the options because sometimes when you check the options, you are immediately starting to check what is like kind of fits to this option. So and sometimes you may find that all of them well are good enough, but the details are important in that case. For me, it was like the text about some insects. So that was like an article, like scientific article. So even though I'm a scientist, so for me it was still quite difficult to understand. And there was a question, I think, like what kind of ant was connected to the death of specific kind of butterflies? So that was the question, and was supposed to find it in the text.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Now everyone who's watching is planning on taking the exam will be like, no, another year more. I need more preparation. Gosh, that's crazy.
not really. So I wouldn't say that it's like the lack of preparation. You just really needs to face with this experience first, and then you will understand for yourself what are your weakest points. So
Yeah.
for me, probably it was reading and then listening. So like that.
Right. Yeah, and I think it actually resonates with our own like language flair and ability is that we know that I mean in terms of writing text and reading text, right? So well, English is writer responsible, and that means we have to rely on the writer's thoughts and kind of decipher, as you said, what is the thought behind it, what's the key point, what's the main idea. While Russian is reader responsible, and this is where I think many candidates have problems because we tend to jump to conclusions based on what you think there is, even if there's not, and that is the main issue we have, right? So not to jump to conclusions, take a step back, do not make your own conclusions or the ideas which are not in theory. That's an issue. So overall, a lot of reading and working on language before tests, right? The same for listening. Okay, so thanks a lot. Speaking of the test itself, now we are going to move on to the second part, the actual exam sitting, which I'm mostly interested in discussing. So we do know that there are two different formats and two different cities. So the major question is, please share where did you take your exam and why did you decide on particular this city and this format?
So I opted for Uzbekistan, and so I went to Tashkent to pass the exam. Actually, just because it was the cheapest option, so I tried to save some money. So yeah, as for the format, that was a paper-based one because I'm really keen on taking notes while doing tests. So that was really crucial to me to have these pieces of paper where I could underline all the key information, the main ideas, which I really got used to doing while preparing, for the test. So that wouldn't be an option on a computer-based format. So that was also difficult for me to do mock exams because they are computer-based, and I should just use my notebook to write down some things, and probably took me more time rather than
During the
to
mock
see.
exams, you mean, right?
Yeah, during
For
the
those of you who are watching, we do have mock exams, but our mock exams are on the digital platform. Yeah, and this is what Lisa is talking about. So yeah, unfortunately for those who are not comfortable enough working with the screen, that might be an issue and something I have to think about. Yeah, how to rearrange it. But what about writing? I mean, do you think it's easier for you to write on paper as well? If you talk about the writing.
Actually, yeah, sure. So I don't know how to explain. It's just a habit. I don't know, write everything, even like to have a diary. I don't like an electronic one. I always have in the diary where all my working schedule, all notes. So yeah, it's just a habit. So I guess it's really individual. And so probably for some people, computer-based exam is more comfortable.
Well, we'll see as Tatiana's going to share. But as far as I gather it, you said you've chosen the cheapest option, but do I get it right? The exam still costs almost the same, right? It's more about like flights, accommodation that will be cheaper, or
Yeah, like altogether. Actually, the exam itself was a bit cheaper than in other countries. And of course, yeah, the accommodation, just traveling around. So that was the best option for me.
right?
Most
Okay.
affordable.
Yeah. And Tatiana, what were the reasons behind your choice? Computer based.
So there are many reasons. First of all, probably my horrible handwriting. So that was
Okay.
kind of,
So
well,
like this individual.
yeah. So as far as I'm pretty clumsy, so I make a lot of mistakes while I'm writing with hands. So usually it's like a lot of corrections, and that looks just awful. So I wouldn't be able to write it normally. So on this paper, I'm absolutely sure that I need to make several corrections during this, during the exam. And by the way, we had like some paper and pencils, so it's just to write down our notes while during the exam. So it's not entirely computer based. So you still have some options that you can just write down and so on. But you are given that, so you can't take anything with you. So you can't take even your pen with you. So it's just you will be given everything. And for separate parts, you will be given separate like papers.
Right.
So yeah, well, and also, the second critical point was the timing, like time itself. So, because in Yerevan, where I was passing the exam, they had the exam just in one sitting for several hours in one day, and that was the most comfortable option for me because I had to come back to work right after that, and the entire trip took me like 3 days. So I came, slept for a night in the hotel, and then went to this exam center. So, and that was pretty convenient because there were only kind of 5 or 6 people in the room. That was really, really comfortable atmosphere. So, you had separate desk, separate computer. Nobody's bothering anyone. So we had a headphone and just headphones, and it was really, really comfortable. I can't say more. So I wouldn't really opt for a paper-based exam because, like, writing, for example, would be a horrible thing for me.
Right. Actually, some of my students have shared this problem they had, like with the keyboards. The moment everyone started clicking on the keys, and that was nightmarish, and they couldn't concentrate. So you say it was fine with
Oh,
only. people
Yeah,
in the
I work with my colleagues in one room, so I just got used to probably to just forget about all the noise that I have around me. So not at all. It's just not a problem. And mm, you know, like you are just entirely focused on the task. So I don't know, like probably it's just the problem of nervousness or whatever is there, right? So I was I couldn't hear anything. I was
What
only
about listening, by the way? Speaking of couldn't hear anything, I mean, sometimes people say there are issues. Which is better? Or do you? Okay, so Lisa might say now that there is an issue.
no
I
problems.
mean, you've got your headphones in computer based, right? So no problems there. I mean, Tatiana, for you, right?
Me, no problem. So
Like
just
sound okay and display
perfect.
everything.
Everything was perfect. You had separate headphones for each person, no kind of recorders, like anything
Yeah.
like that. But I heard that, for example, for FC, they had a lot of people. That was like also the issue, and like the recorder was somewhere in the back, like of the room, and they couldn't hear anything. And because of that, like it's just like the experience that girls shared with me.
So that is
Uh,
a paper-based one.
yes, that was paper based,
Paper
and
makes sense.
yes, that was like really terrible experience for them. And because of these issues, and because there were so many people there in the room, so the examiners decided to give them like free opportunity to pass the next exam.
This is a good point then. Yeah. So you could, again, another thing to consider, right? So if anything goes wrong, whichever center you are, you have to claim immediately, and then the issue might be resolved, or you have the right to appeal. And this is what we need to take into
Yes, yes, absolutely. So even though it's about like tissue, for example, if you have allergic reaction, so or anything like that, you just raise your hand and ask, so I need help, just anything.
Right. Okay. So what about paper-based listening and listening in your particular exam, Elizabeth? You think?
We also had headphones, by the way,
Mm.
so we didn't have any troubles with behind background noises.
Oh, this is
So that was great, but there was a great shortcoming. For example, there were some troubles with sound in the beginning, so the sound was sped up, and I don't know why the examinators didn't notice that because they also wore the same headphones, so they were
Mm.
listening the same audio. And at the beginning, you really didn't understand, like, is everything okay? It's like it's going how it must go. So there was only me and another girl, and we were looking at each other, like, didn't understand what's going
what's
on.
wrong, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then fixed the problem, but didn't restart the audio. Like you should continue listening because like it was the only one opportunity to really concentrate on what they are saying, yeah, in the audio, and you couldn't complain at that moment. So you feel really afraid, like, to lose this opportunity to catch the right answers and so on. Yeah, so we didn't stop the exam or something. Probably just were scared. And after we didn't claim about the problem, I really don't know how to repass or do this part again because there is no opportunity to travel again to the
Yeah.
another country, yeah,
Right.
to do this part. And that's why we just I don't know, just accept this moment. Yeah, because still we had the second opportunity to listen to the task. Yeah, but probably that could be organized in a better way. I don't know what happened, but that was some kind of technical issue with the sound.
Yeah. This is unfortunate, of course. I know. I mean, but
Yeah.
experience shows that yeah, in the majority of cases, students pro candidates prefer just to let it go because I mean, yeah, the probably the point of claiming and redoing is even more challenging and overwhelming. But judging by the overall result, I mean, again, my fair point is like when you've got the level, nothing can stop you, right? Already, it's just that yeah, probably the variation of scores that you might have could have yeah a couple more, but other than that, Yeah.
Yeah, by the way,
Yeah.
there's a thing about the recordings actually. So for 6 people, we had probably 3 different records. So it's not the same listening for each person, so it might be different. And like after that, sometimes makes no sense to discuss it. So even though we were trying, so and we figure out actually that we had different records, so
Wow.
about different with different information, all of that stuff.
Right.
So
So in this case, in computer-based exam, you had different tests.
yeah,
Right.
different listening tests.
Paper-based.
Like there were some similarities for like probably for two. Like for 2 people in a group, you have the same record, and like you don't know who has what. Like
Right.
that's the idea.
That's interesting. Okay, I'd never thought of that and not even heard of that. With paper-based, I assume it should be the same because usually it's one pack that arrives. But again, now that you say that you had headphones, maybe you have had different things as well. That's exciting. Okay, so speaking of this technicality, and we had another question actually from the followers. What might go wrong, or if anything went wrong in your exam? Well, as far as I know, health-wise, we had issues with both of us, sort of. How did you overcome them? Maybe you want to share quickly, just to give a ray of hope to those who go and still have to stay resilient.
Well, there might be all sorts of things that can go wrong. So for me, it was mostly like my main issue was the direction. So because of that, I had gone to the exam centers the day before the actual exam happened. So I went there to find the direction, to find the building, because like in Armenia, it's like sometimes you go around the place and can't find the entrance where they actually center. And I don't know, I was wondering for an hour, I think, even though I was 5 minutes far from this building actually. So that was the thing that I would recommend, just to find like the exam center before,
Like to do this practice run, as we call it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So you would be able to find it, because if you are late, nobody's going to wait for you. So, or even you will not be allowed to pass the exam. As far as I remember, like in the rules, you are not allowed to be late there.
Yeah, sure. You're not. Okay. So practice run. Then
Yeah.
as far as I remember, you had a severe case of backache. Well, you just had to live with it, sitting and yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So you have nothing to do with that, just painkillers, probably water that you can take with you. So nothing else. Just did well.
Right.
Probably some exercises, stretching, or anything like that.
Well, I mean, it's not like everyone is bound to have it, but as I say, right, you never know what is going to be like.
Yes, just
Stressful in
be
its own
prepared.
right, and then when your body kind of creates these small surprises for you. But staying resilient helps, I guess. All right. And as for Liz, as far as I know, first, amazingly, you did it while expecting. And were you worried about that?
Actually, no, I wasn't at all till I got there and got a rotavirus infection.
Right.
So I was a lucky one. Yes, so I really would recommend to be fully packed with some medicine. Yes, Tanya mentioned. Yeah, be ready for such kind of issues. Have enough sleep, because yeah, the illness also led to insufficient sleep, which led to forgetting my passport in the hotel, getting back. So it was a lot of stress. Yeah. Which you don't really want to experience just before the exam. Yeah. What else? It's more about not. Okay, it's more about organizing your time on the exam, really. It's transferring answers to the answer sheet, which was really a surprise for me. I don't know. I didn't know how much time it may take. I actually allot about 15 minutes for transferring, and I didn't finish doing it. So the examiner took the answer sheet from me, where I also left, I guess, for about 5 empty boxes without answer. So I would recommend to do it immediately, like while you're doing test. put all the answers right into the answer sheet. So don't wait till you do it on your test and then you think again and only after transfer. No, that doesn't work like this. You really have no time. You don't feel how the time flies.
Right.
Mm.
Well, do they remind you like 5 minutes left, 10 minutes left when you're in the exam?
Yeah, but it feels like 5 seconds.
Yeah, sure, it's fleeting. What about computer-based, by the way? You don't have to transfer there, right? But how do you check everything is in its place?
Kind of you can still use your paper to write down your answers, but I wouldn't recommend that because it's like it takes a lot of time to transfer, and also if you're clumsy as I am, so you will need to organize your notes in a nice and good way. And for me, it was like total chaos. So just a bunch of different notes that sometimes made no sense and so on. So you just really needs to probably firstly make a first draft. Well, in the computer-based exam, so it's much easier because you can write down the letters. For example, during the listening, like it was very easy. So you write your answers like even though you are not sure about them, so then you check it again through the second listening and then correct it. So in that case I actually liked very much the computer-based exam because like for paper it's not that simple. And also you have a timer, by the way, so nobody tells you like how much time you have it right in front of your eyes. You have these numbers and you can really split your time like in a nice way. So because like sometimes you're just carried away with your thoughts and like have no clue what is happening around you. So like computer based in that case is much more convenient.
Well, and I feel now that still mock exams might help as well with the timing.
Absolutely, just 100%. So I adored our mock exams, even though it was a torture. So still 4 exams I passed. So it was really, really essential.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes that's what some students share. Like only sitting the mock exam, do they realize how much time this or that path actually takes, and where they need to allocate more time, for example, or plan for things. So that is
Sure.
useful again, even if not mock exams, but doing your own practice runs with the timer. Yeah, not only with the speaking, but all the parts. Yeah, that's essential. So then, yeah, which brings us to the final part with the hindsight and talking about results overall, regardless of all the crazy things that have happened to you. How satisfied were you with the results when you received them? Were they close to what you had aimed for, expected?
Well, for me, it was a little bit lower than I expected, but it happens to me like all the time. So it's like kind of 4 points that I didn't acquire that was necessary and so on and so forth. So I kind of got used to this thing. But I really like that the things that I practiced a lot, like before the exam, really just they were higher in general. So it gave me a lot of hope that next time, probably if I practice enough with certain things that I hadn't been practicing enough, so I will be able to do this much more successfully.
Are you planning on retaking the same exam for a higher band?
Probably not for CE, but for CPE, I think it's like it's too costly to take it 2 times, so I would probably opt for CPE this like next time. But still, like the format is pretty close, so I believe that it might be also useful anyway. This understanding like what you can do to improve your scores.
Yeah. No, of course, I could relate to that myself. I mean, the only thing I hadn't practiced when doing my CPE was writing, and that was the only result kind of that failed me compared to all the rest, especially, I guess, the backdrop of all the beautiful rest ones. So, yeah, we have to really, I mean, all skills are important if you were to aim at a high band. Of course, you have to invest heavily in all of them. It pays off. All right. Lisa, what about you?
Well, so I'm glad to see that all the skills are on the same level. I mean, that C1, so it kind of gives me some kind of self assurance. Yeah, right. So that everything is fine. Of course, there are a lot of things that could be better. Even still, I understand that there were some reasons behind some of the lower points, like reading, where I left some empty boxes answers, so they could be higher. Like speaking after sleepless nights, being ill, so that's okay. Still, I'm really happy to prove the level, and to have this kind of certificate, like even just having this experience in passing international language exam, like it's the most valuable, I guess, in all this story. And I'm sure that if you want to do exam, just do it. Like get ready, do it. Don't wait like for many years. Actually, the first idea when I decided to pass the exam was in 2019, so I kind of put it a bit away
Yeah,
aside.
this is a good point. And actually, the question we also had from the followers. I mean, when do you know? How do you know that you're ready and you need to go and sit it? It might take forever, and I know myself, and you know, obviously, that's right. Some students like to put it off till they feel they're ready. 1 year, another one, especially these days that we don't have it in Russia. What would you say?
So,
I
the feeling, I'm sorry for interrupting. So, feelings here just are quite fragile foundations. So, if you just rely on feelings, so you will never be ready for that. So, I would I would opt for like, and I did actually, I opted for like the results from the mock exam. So when I saw that I managed to get like 80% of the correct answers, I suppose that like, yeah, so I feel like I'm ready. So I could probably, I could have prepared better and more, but then it would be like for mostly for the CPE then. So it must be like
Procedure
this
level.
golden mean between like everything that you know and the feelings probably. So, but the tests in this case and mock exams and feedback from the teacher is very important. So you really need to understand where you are now and what you should improve, but don't overdo it. So, or you will just lose the motivation and pace.
Oh yeah, that's true. Being overwhelmed, I think, with preparation. That's another issue we have, right? And Liz, would you agree? Same?
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I guess we're on the same page here. The course, like doing the course, getting feedbacks, all the results, like checking the where you were at the point A here and what you got at the point B, that boosts my self-assurance in like being able to do the exam, to sit the exam successfully. Yeah, it doesn't matter even which scores I got. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
mean, I would advocate for that as well because you've got the certificate, and that's important, and that's what you will make use of, as you mentioned initially. Your goal was to get it, and that might be something to address the issue of, I mean, the score taking itself that you mentioned. All right, so for many, it won't count unless it's an A. What would you say? Which I don't myself. I mean, used to motivate people to that high extremes, but these days I'm more mature and wise. And we've recently discussed it with colleagues, even posting the results of the students. To what extent would you want to show if it's B or C? And I was like, fair enough, it's B and C, and it's worth a praise. But many still have this painful reminder that it's not good enough if it's not an A. What would you say?
Suppose that it actually came from our education system. So it's if it's not five, then you are not worthy, you are not good enough, and all of that stuff. So actually, it does make sense. So if you think about the actual level, uh, this kind of grades and this grading system was created to evaluate your skills, not really to give you some sort of worth or whatever it is. So it's not connected to your self-worth or anything like that. It's more just about the proper evaluation of your knowledge. That's it. So nothing else. For me, it was like better to gain, for example, B, because in that case, I would gain compensation for this exam, by the way. So in that case, it was much more interesting.
That's
Oh,
notable.
well, but
Right.
I didn't. So that I didn't get my compensation. So that's it. That's the point.
Right. Yeah, in this case, yeah, it does sound painful, but other than that, I wouldn't mind really. I'm more focusing on Cambridge scale, right? Where I used to be, as you said, right, where I was at like point A and now point B, and I think it's individual, and for each individual person, it's important to see where they were and where they're going. So I would
And
praise any exam.
also,
Yeah.
Also, it's not completely like fair because you're under the stress, so you don't really demonstrate your like kind of fullest potential and all of that. So it's still like just like a blueprint, if you will,
It's
uh,
true. Yeah, I
from my
mean,
knowledge.
exactly. And we do know some examples just retaking it when we used to have them in Russia, and it was easier and more feasible. Retaking it within the span of like a couple of weeks showed a
Right.
different result,
Yeah.
right? Just because people could overcome that anxiety, the initial anxiety they had, and like through sitting the exam and already knowing what to expect. Yeah. Liz, what would you say? How would you motivate students who would only want an A, and you know that it might not be the case sometimes?
Well, I would recommend trying to avoid being a perfectionist in this case. That may only prevent you from getting the score you're really able to get. So just try to concentrate on the tasks, on timing, like just on the process, like to show your real knowledge and keep calm. Of course, get enough sleep, snacks which you can bring with you, and do your best.
Yeah,
So.
I love this idea. I mean, enjoying the process, right? Because again, at the end of the day, especially when people start fidgeting, gosh, what scores am I going to get? And it's like, this is not your problem, right? It's examiner's pain now. It's their headache. They have to decide what to give, how to assess. Like you just do what you can, and that's enough, right? And yeah, and as long as you've blended the certificate, that's all worth it. All right. So speaking of other issues, or with the hindsight, what might go wrong? As far as I remember, as we had a quick discussion after the exam, what else we might take into account was the registration issues. I think Tatiana, you mentioned that, right? So the fact that it's not enough to just want to take an exam, you have to know the schedule.
Oh,
And in some
yes,
cases, you
right.
really have to do it in advance, right?
Yeah, my issue was that actually I thought that if I finish the course, only then I will be able to like register for the exam. That was like I don't know, like the main point for me. So I thought that it's necessary to firstly finish and then only to register. But actually, we finished the course I think in summer. And after that, I couldn't really find the dates that would be free, that would be available for me to pass the CAE exam in Yerevan. And yeah, I was kind of frustrated, and because of that, I had to wait for 2 months before I actually could find the date that would be convenient to pass the exam. So because of that, I would probably recommend a couple months before the end of the actual course to find the date when you are able to go to a foreign country to pass the exam if you have enough money for that, because it's quite expensive anyway. So the flight itself, so the exam itself, the exam fee was I don't know, like 22,000 rubles or something. So by itself, so it's costly. And if you plan to stay there for a while, so you need to know where you're going to stay, how much it takes, how much money it takes. I mean, well, and all of that stuff. For example, I couldn't afford to stay for a week like Lisa in a foreign country, so it was like 3 days and that's it. Well,
Right. Yeah. So a lot of things to keep in mind before even, yeah, all right.
right.
Before probably even the course, they taking the course itself, right? I mean, something I have issues with as a teacher, right? So as we have interviews before the course starts during the enrollment process, I really make sure the students know where they're going and the reason for them to take the exam course, because otherwise I would suggest, for example, a general course. It's a lot of investment. There is a lot of investment, and if you're not planning on taking it in any foreseeable future, maybe there's no reason to really dive in heavily, yeah, in preparation, exam format preparation. All right. Speaking of which, again, that enrollment I've mentioned and the question we had previously. So we do know some people have issues studying in groups. Have you experienced any?
Oh, yes, there was something about that. Not really problem like studying in groups, but I think I'm highly motivated when I see how people work hard around me. So, and when I see someone who would be like a role model for me, so I really try to kind of follow this person and keep up with the same pace. But when you see just like no one is doing their homework around you, so you're really disheartened by that. And when somebody's when people around you just essentially they were really focused and motivated to pass the exam, and when you are the only one person in the group who eventually decided to pass the exam, so you really start to hesitate in your decision, so and question it. Well, and in that case probably just stick to your goals that you originally came with, and that will be helpful to keep going. At least it helped me.
Right.
Well,
Yeah. Well, of course, people tend to lose steam, especially, like we start in September after summer full of strength, and then yeah, by November and December we lose it. And then later on, especially now that knowing all the finances and the expenses that you've mentioned, you start rethinking and thinking twice whether you need to go and take it immediately. And that is maybe where your group was not that supportive in terms of
but
their own intentions.
when you reach this point, like in December, for example, you had already invested, I don't know, like a reasonable amount of
Right.
money into that process. So you probably have to finish it or just drop out of this. Just I don't know, like it's really personal, but I would be really, I don't know, disappointed in myself. So if I stopped doing that or if I hadn't passed the exam, so
Right.
that would be like terrible.
Okay. Well, with Lisa's group, we were luckier. Quite a few students from her group did take exam. We even had a plan of going and taking it all together, but these days, again, too many issues, and quite a lot of students from that group live in totally different countries, even. So it was really hard. Yeah. Did that discourage you, Lisa, or would you prefer to have a company?
We are the dreamers.
Yeah, yeah. But our dreams were big. That's true. So.
Um, well, okay. So actually, yeah, keeping up with girls who are planning and passing exams, I guess that influenced a lot. Also, not losing the motivation till the end of the course, and just such a long time ambition still was a driving force behind my um, okay, my decision really to just to do this, to register, to go on a trip to pass the exam. Then, right at the end of the course, I found out that I'm expecting a baby. So that was also kind of last chance.
I mean, that's exciting. The fact that you were pregnant was not an excuse, but rather a reason and an extra motivation. And to me, that was mind blowing. It's like what, once or never, or like now or never, once in a lifetime.
Like
What was the idea behind it?
something like now or never, or like
Right.
just having no idea what's life gonna be like was really I don't know the best motivation actually, like to make this step, yeah, and to plan the trip. Well, maybe this was also the reason of some health issues, probably, who knows? But I'm so glad that I made a decision and went and passed the exam. So recommend everybody.
Everyone should go and take it. Right. Speaking of recommendations, I guess this will be the final one we had. So what major advice might you give? I know it's pretty hard, I think, to choose one piece of advice, but if there's anything you want to leave our followers with.
Oh, yeah, I have a good actually quote from the videos
Mm.
that I watched today. So it's about entirely different thing, but it really suits this situation. We can work towards outcomes. We can hope for outcomes, but we can't control the outcomes. So do whatever you can for the preparation, but don't punish yourself if you didn't get the score that you wanted.
Yeah, I think that will resonate with many. True. Patting
Yeah.
on your shoulder just for doing it. Cool. That's a cool one. Thanks. All right. Super. And Liz, anything? Unstoppable, Lisa.
Okay, such difficult to make up right now, but okay. Well, Of course, keep calm because stress never helps you to concentrate, to sit the exam. Take all medicine you can with you if you travel to another country. Check all the documents when you go on the exam to the exam center, and so try to organize your time smartly. So transfer all your answers and have enough sleep.
Very good tip, we know. Yeah, especially before all parts. And if we do have a break between writing and, for example, the writing part and then the speaking is the next day. Yes, so definitely. Being high after the first day of exam, you still have to calm yourself down and try to get some sleep. I mean, yeah, because it's high stakes. But on the other hand, we have to keep focused and concentrated and try to calm ourselves down. All right, super. Anything else you want to share? I think I've tied you now. Once again, I just want to say thank you so much for finding the time. I mean, that's a lot. The exam has already passed, but we still have to discuss it, and I think it might be painful in some way, but it's always nice to reflect. So thank you for finding the time during these holidays. And obviously, that was probably just a stepping stone for you, knowing that you're very ambitious and you have some other aims and goals. I wish you all the best in your future projects and ambitions, and I hope to see you later. And thanks to everyone for who has been watching it. If you do have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments, and we'll be happy to discuss them later as well. All right, I guess that'll be it then. Yeah, thank you, and I'll be stopping this recording then.